Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening. Alberta sheriffs have shut down a property in Lloydminster where drug activity was creating issues in the neighborhood. The Safer Communities and Neighborhoods unit got a court order against the owner of the home located at 5729 50th Street to close up the space. A number of complaints were received from the community regarding finding needles on a regular basis, witnessing assaults on the property, and seeing constant traffic coming and going. Investigators confirmed drug activity was taking place, and more than 100 incidents were reported there since the beginning of 2020. The community safety order remains in place through December 16th. A plethora of businesses are eyeing a return to form this month, as Tate Laycraft has an update on the Lloyd Mall.
October 15th will mark 2 months since the Lloyd Mall was forced into temporary closure after a ruptured water line caused mass flooding throughout the building. Shannon McEwen is a marketing coordinator for the mall. She says that a return is on the horizon.
It's looking very positive that we're aiming for a reopening on October 18th. That being said, it will be a phased reopening of our retailers.
After missing out on back-to-school shopping, the mall shifted its focus to making a return for the next seasonal shopping rush.
We really want to set them up for success where they hit the ground running going into the holiday season.
McEwen says she's hopeful that the mall can fully reopen by mid-November. Tate Laycraft, Primetime Local News.
While the flooding at the Lloyd Mall has delayed the relocation of the public library, the city is still moving ahead and entering an agreement with the library board. Jace Mackey has more on how this new agreement will clarify the relationship for both parties.
Who is responsible for what? That's the question the new Memorandum of Understanding between the city and the library hopes to clear up.
We as the city are responsible to have a library. That's part of the legislation. But how is the library operated? Through the library board. And how do we determine things? And I think there was always a discussion.
The library board unanimously approved the agreement last month, and this week Lloydminster City Council followed suit.
And now we have it in writing. And I think it clearly identifies what the city's responsible for, what the library board's responsible for, to ensure that information is made available and it's clear and concise and transparent.
In the agreement, the city commits to inspecting and managing warranty repairs at the new space. $10,000 worth of communications and marketing work will be provided to the library. The city will also provide training and human resource support to library staff. In addition, IT support and equipment will be the responsibility of the city.
We're dealing with IT, we're dealing with communications from our communications team and things like that. All important things because we know IT is changing continuously. We know that communications is very, very important. And again, trying to eliminate duplication.
The library board is committing to align their budget, business, and long-term planning with the city's process to keep things consistent and make audits easier.
I think it just finalizes and clears up a lot of confusion that may have existed.
For Primetime Local News, I'm Jace Mackey.
The sizzle of eggs in the pan, the smell of sausages, all signs of breakfast. And this morning, the Olive Tree was full of those signs as the United Way's Breakfast Day was underway. Josh Horlack has more on that.
The United Way's annual Breakfast Day kicked off early this morning at the Olive Tree. Breakfast Day gave people an option to order either a ham or sausage egg sandwich. Each sandwich costs $5, and the funds raised will be used by the United Way to support other organizations in the community.
This is the assembly line, so we are setting up for the eggs and sausages to go out. It's amazing. We have the Bobcats drivers helping out. We have the mayor, we have RCMP, we have so many drivers and volunteers here with us. It's amazing, guys.
This year's event saw over 1,400 orders for the breakfast sandwiches and had volunteers hard at work in the kitchen or on deliveries since early this morning.
And it's amazing. We supersede last year's orders, so it's great. We're looking for a wonderful year next year. It's going to be bigger and greater.
The huge amount of orders they received this year, United Way volunteers were working late last night and early this morning preparing. From people cracking eggs to others packing sandwiches, The kitchen was full of happy faces, working hard and helping out. Organizers and volunteers were also doing their best to keep COVID risks at a minimum with face masks and regular hand washing.
So the sausage is lovely, tastes awesome, guys. So next year, don't miss it. Put in your order and you can order 2 per person next time.
Through the event, the United Way managed to raise over $7,000. Josh Howrelak, Primetime Local News.
In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we take a look at École St. Thomas's Spirit Week and how they're getting their students involved. Throughout the Spirit Week, the school is hosting different themed days, including Crazy Hair Day, Jersey Day, and more. They started off the week with Tiger Day, which focuses on different aspects of their school's themes.
The St. Thomas Tiger has an acronym to him. So the T, we are tenacious, we're independent. The G stands for gentil in French, which is being kind. The E is for enthusiastic and energetic. And the R is for respectful and responsible, and it fits our Behavior Matters theme as well. So we like to inject our tiger's spirit into everything that we're doing and encourage the kids to try something new, be a little silly, take some risks, and have some fun.
With the Spirit Week, staff say it's one example of how the kids can be themselves and not be afraid of judgment.
Like, people felt, I think, that they could express their school spirit however they wanted to, and they didn't have to fit a certain mold. Same with today. So it's really about letting the kids come to school and express themselves and show off what they decided to do for their school spirit. So this morning there's lots of buzz because kids have all kinds of creative things stuck in their hair or different hairstyles.
They also believe having Spirit Weeks or days throughout the school year helps the kids create fun memories with their classmates and with the school.
Some kids have had similar hairstyles over the years, so it's almost like a tradition for them. For Crazy Hair Day, they do something along that same line. So when we notice as staff that looks similar to something they did last year, it just creates a little bit of a memory.
And that's it for this week's Beyond the Classroom.
Explore 50-plus programs from the comfort of your home during Lakeland College's virtual open house. Jump online October 22nd or 23rd.
Now Shelby Clark will take a first look at your Wednesday weather.
Thanks so much, Jasmine. Now taking a first look at your weather forecast for here in the border city, we are sitting at 11 degrees, and hopefully it was supposed to be a bit warmer today, but with that cloud coverage, it does feel a lot cooler in the area. But though that smoke quality is starting to go away, and it will hopefully be clearing up by this evening here, but we will be seeing a small chance of some showers later on in the day, so watch out for that. And now switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan here on the Alberta side, lots are sitting at that single-digit degree mark there at 7, 8, 9 degrees in spots. Cold Lake is at 10 degrees, while Bonneville's a bit warmer there at 17, and the rest are sitting at 11 degrees. Over on this end here, Isla Cross is at 12 degrees, while Green Lake is at 13. Pearson is a little bit warmer at that 7 degree mark as well. 11 in Meadow Lake, and St. Walburg is at 18 degrees. Maidstone is at 12 degrees, while Macklin is at 16, and North Battleford is at 17. Although in those areas there, they do still have that smoke air quality as well. So hopefully that will be clearing up later in the week. Switching over to North Battleford overnight, though, they will be going down to a low of 2 degrees with a little bit of cloud coverage there. And tomorrow they will be warming up to a high of 14 degrees, and hopefully we'll be seeing a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. Cold Lake overnight, they'll actually be going down to a low of 0 degrees there. So cooling down as we get into the fall season with a little bit of clouds in sight as well. And tomorrow they will be a couple degrees warmer at 13 with a mix of some sun and cloud. And here in the border city, we'll be cooling down to a low of 1 degree tonight here. So we are getting some cooler low temperatures as we head into the fall season, I was saying. But we will be seeing a little bit more cloudier skies. And tomorrow, we're hopefully we'll be seeing a little bit more sun, but we'll be going down to a high of 14 tomorrow. And now switching over to our 3-day forecast. As I was saying, tomorrow we will be seeing a high of 14 degrees. Friday, we will be starting off this weekend with a high of 15 and a low of -1 there as we head into those minus temperatures for our lows. But we will be seeing a mix of some sun and cloud for the weekend, and Saturday we will continue on that track with a high of 15 as well. That's the first look at your weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. Consultation on the next Agricultural Federal Provincial Policy Framework has begun, and the Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan is putting together a task force to advocate for prairie producers.
Today on Primetime Local News, I'm joined by Todd Lewis, who is the president of the Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan. Now, Todd, APAS has created a task force in preparation of the federal provincial next policy framework. Can you tell me what this task force is hoping to achieve?
Well, we're just looking to, speak to a number of farmers and stakeholders across the province to get their input into what they'd like to see in the next policy framework. We are currently, they're a 5-year plan, and the current one will come to an end here by 2023, and we're going to start a new one again. So it's important to have some input. We need some changes in business risk management, and now's the time to start talking about it. As early as November, federal and provincial ministers are going to meet in Guelph. It's tentative anyway right now with depending, with minister, who's going to be appointed as the new ag minister federally, or if we're going to continue with the same minister. But tentatively, there's a meeting scheduled for November, and negotiations are underway starting then. So it's important that farmers get their viewpoints across, and that we have some input on it.
And is there one specific issue that will be the topic of the task force, or a variety of topics?
I think a variety of issues. Agri-stability is one program that, as an example, that has very little uptake in its current format. The way it's designed, a lot of producers don't see much value in it, and they don't participate in it because it's very hard to trigger a payment. So, I think, and we see years like this with drought and with all the problems in the livestock sector and crop sector this year, that we need good business risk management programming, and we haven't seen new money put into the programs really. There has been some money put in this year, but before that it was over a decade with still the same amount of funding. And of course we set record income seems to be always occurring in agriculture over the last decade, and of course with more revenue there's more investment and more risk. So we do need to see more money come from both the provincial and federal money side of things to try and improve these programs and make them more something that's more usable for both producers and the people that producers support. It's if we don't have good business risk management programming, it's difficult to sustain farms, and really it's a big part of the Saskatchewan economy. So it's for the benefit of everybody that we see good business risk management programming.
And I'm wondering, will the task force take into account things like environmental considerations to maybe protect producers from future droughts like we saw this year?
Well, I think it speaks to the idea of having good business risk management programming. Climate change and environmental risks are more and more of a bigger factor. It seems like our weather is more and more unpredictable, and with that, the unpredictability that farmers face every year seems to be, that causes risk, and it's increasing every year. So I think it's when we see a drought like we've had, this is where we're going to see over the next, year to 2 years, just how good our business risk management programming is. And unfortunately, it's sorely lacking in a lot of cases. And as I say, in programs like agri-stability, we see very, very little farmer participation just because the program is so poorly designed. So I think we need to see improvements on all programming. Crop insurance is another one that is getting looked at pretty hard, and we need to see how the mix works currently right now with the way the programs are designed. They seem to be more designed for producers that are producing only cattle or only livestock or only grain. Mixed operations are really penalized under the current system. So I think we need to have a wholesome look at all the programming and try and see some improvements to make it more usable for farmers.
And so if a farmer has ideas for the task force, are you guys doing like consultations with farmers to see what matters to them?
Yeah, it'll be part of our APAS district meetings, and of course, APAS task force members like Scott Owen, up in Lloydminster, North Battleford area. Devin Walker is another person, well-known producer up in your corner of the province. That those people are involved with the task force and are well known. And look on the website. APAS website and look for these members of the task force, and please talk to them and bring forward any ideas you have or concerns, and we'd be happy to discuss them and include them in our work.
Todd, thanks for chatting with me today.
Okay, thanks, Jillian. Bye for now.
Now here are your agriculture prices for today. In Canada and Lloydminster, kids lace up the skates and hit the ice by the time they're able to walk. Sports like volleyball are neglected until middle school, or rather were neglected before Holy Rosary's Little Raiders camp. Kids as young as grade 3 have the chance to learn the game of volleyball on Sundays at Holy Rosary. The camp currently have 5 groups of 30 enrolled.
That's right. All we're trying to do is let these young players experience the sport, learn a little bit about it, hopefully get interested in it.
Johnston is the coach of the Raiders senior volleyball team. The Little Raiders camp helps with team funding, and in return, Raider players give hands-on coaching.
It's great, and it's a great experience for the players too, to learn to give back a little bit and connect with some of the younger players, and I think overall, I think they have a great time with it. So,
well, I get so hyped, like I get so excited because I taught someone how to do something. I need to get excited too because I need to go home practice it as well.
This is the 5th year for the program. From Lashburn, Saskatchewan to Valley City, North Dakota, one local ball player is taking his game to the next level.
Well, I was really excited. This is something I've put a lot of time into, and it's been a main goal of mine for many years, so it was just really exciting to get the offer.
Campero has committed to Valley City State University and will play third base for the Vikings. Pero has played for the Northwest Prairie Pirates and currently trains with the Bulldogs Baseball Academy.
I guess the number one thing that I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to be able to hit the pitching down there. It's going to be a big jump from here to, United States college pitching. So that's the main thing I'm, worried about, but I have confidence that I'll be able to do it.
As a player, I would say his ability to hit the baseball out of the yard would be his best asset. And then as character, his just willingness to learn, his coachability, and his work ethic is probably second to none.
This past season, Pero led the U18 Prairie Pirates with a .313 batting average. He will be studying sciences, focusing on chemistry. Now Shelby Clark will take another look at your forecast.
Thanks so much, Jasmine. Now taking another look at your weather forecast. We'll be starting off with taking a look more at central Alberta and Saskatchewan here. On the Alberta side, as you can see, temperatures are a little bit lower there with Athabasca and Jasper at 9 degrees, 7 in Edson and Rocky Mountain House, and 5 in Whitecourt, while Edmonton and Red Deer are a bit warmer there at that 10 and 11 degree mark. But in Red Deer, they are starting to get that smoke air quality as it's moving more over this way. So make sure you are watching out for that, and hopefully it will be clearing up by the end of the week. Over on this end here, a little bit warmer, while Meadow Lake and Cold Lake are at 10 and 11 degrees, as well as here in the border city, 18 in Prince Albert and 17 in North Battleford, and Melfort and Saskatoon are at 22 and 25 degrees. Switching over to our northern region of the provinces, Uranium City and Stony Rapids are at 10 and 11 degrees. Holston Lake is at 10 as well, 9 degrees in La Loche and Buffalo Narrows. La Ronge is at 13 as well as in South End, and Flin Flon is the warmest there at 16. Over on this side here, a little bit cooler in most of the spots, as you can see, while Grand Prairie is at that 5-degree mark. 3 in Peace River and High Level is at 4 degrees. 9 in Fort Chipewyan and Fort McMurray Slave Lake are at 6 and 7 degrees. And as we switch over to our southern region of the provinces, they are seeing a little bit slightly warmer temperatures. Lethbridge is at 21 degrees. Medicine Hat is at 23. Calgary and Banff are at 10 and 11, so a little bit cooler up in those areas. Over on this end here, 24 in Swift Current, so they are getting close to that 30-degree mark. Again, as always, they have the warmest temperatures over on this end. Kindersley is at 19 degrees. Yorkton and Regina are at 28, so almost reaching that 30-degree mark there. Moose Jaw is at 25, while Estevan is the warmest, still above that 30-degree mark. And as we go back across the region to temperatures overnight tonight, we are getting more into the fall season, as I was saying, as we're seeing those minus temperatures. Meadow Lake and Paradise Hill will be seeing a low of -2 tonight. Isla Crosse will be a slightly warmer at +3. Pierceland will be seeing a low of 0 degrees, while Unity will be seeing a low of 2, and the rest will be seeing a low of -1, while Myrna will be seeing the coolest there, reaching that -5 mark. But most places will be seeing cloudier skies tonight. As we head into temperatures tomorrow, we will be cooling down quite a bit, ranging from around that 13 to 15-degree mark. As you can see, Isla Crosse is a little bit cooler up there at 10 degrees tomorrow, and Edmonton and Lac La Biche will be at 12 degrees, but hopefully we will see a little bit more sun here in the border city, so that will save it. Now taking a look at our 7-day forecast. Thursday, as I was saying, we will be seeing a little bit more sun, and as we start off this weekend, we will be seeing around 14 to 15 degrees for our weekend, with a mix of some sun and cloud, but we will be seeing the -1 for our lows on Friday and Saturday, so we are cooling down quite a bit for the lows. Next week on Monday, we'll be starting off a little bit cooler at that single-digit mark with a high of 8 there, with a mix of some sun and cloud. And Tuesday, we'll be keeping on track with that 8 temperature as well, with a little bit more sun. And Wednesday, we will be seeing a high of 10. That is another look at your weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator at Hanka Divorce Law and Mediation in Lloydminster here. And we're back for another episode of Healthy Thriving Families in Two Homes. And Stephanie, today we're going to be talking about myths that surround divorce. So we're going to go through a few of them, and then you're going to talk about why they're myths. So the first one is, I need my spouse's consent to get a divorce. So tell me why that's a myth.
So this is most definitely a myth. So in Canada, to get a divorce, you need to prove that there's been what's called a breakdown of the marriage. So you can prove that in one of 3 ways. The first way, which is the most typical, is by 1 year of separation. The second way is by mental or physical cruelty against you by your spouse. And the third is adultery by your spouse. So in no way do you need your spouse's consent to proceed with the divorce. If one of you wants to end the marriage, then you simply have to prove that one of these elements of a breakdown of the marriage has occurred.
Now, you kind of touched on this in that last answer, Stephanie, but myth number 2 is adultery can cost me everything. Is that in fact true?
Well, although this may feel true emotionally, by law, this is what I would call a myth. So I call it a myth because the legislation specifically addresses where there's been adultery in various different ways. So for example, with respect to spousal support, the legislation specifically says that you're not going to receive less or have to pay more just as a result simply of adulterous behavior. Secondly, with respect to property division, adultery has literally 0 impact on how property will be divided. So the split is going to be 50-50 between you and your spouse, subject to certain exemptions that are specified in the legislation. And lastly, parenting. Although past conduct may have an effect on a parenting plan, adultery alone won't necessarily prevent you from seeing your kids or automatically cause you to have your children less time just because of the adulterous behavior. One way, though, that adultery does affect a divorce, and as you said, Stacey, we touched on this in myth number 1, is that it could cause you to be eligible for a divorce sooner than the 1 year of separation.
Now, Stephanie, in the past, we've talked a lot about child support and different things that affect it. Myth number 3 you have, if child support isn't paid, then parenting time can be denied. Is that true?
So, of course, along with our theme of the divorce myths today, no, this is also a myth. So child support and parenting time are not typically linked together. If there's a document that requires you to pay child support or to send the children to the other parent's home for parenting time, you need to follow that. There's reasons that parenting time may be denied, such as for things like safety of the children, if that's of concern and Child and Family Services has to get involved. That may be a reason to deny parenting time if it applies to your situation. Now, if you're on the other side of the situation and you're being denied parenting time, that's equally not a reason to withhold child support. If either you or your spouse or you or the other parent ended up in court having to enforce parenting time or enforce the payment of support, you want to make sure you come to court with what's called clean hands. And that means that you don't want to be accused of denying parenting time as a result of non-payment of child support or vice versa.
Now, this next one, Stephanie, is one that I have heard often, is that when kids turn 12, they can decide which parent they want to live with. Is there any truth to that?
Well, interestingly, again, this is also another myth. Now, I have to say, there's a blog piece that I wrote that's on my website. And when I look at the analytics of who looks at which blogs on my website, I noticed that that particular blog is looked at more than any other blog on the entire website, and it was written a long time ago. So under the separation and divorce legislation, kids do not get to choose where they live with until they're what's called no longer under the care of their parents. So typically, and that they're called children still. There's legal definitions of this, but typically this will be the age of majority, which in Alberta and Saskatchewan is the age of 18. So the final decision on where the children will live is up to either the parents if they can come to agreement, or up to the courts if the parents can't agree. Now, as children reach their pre-teenage years and their teenage years, of course, they will start to have more say with respect to where they would be living or how they would be sharing their time between the parents. But I call this the children having a voice, not a choice. So there's ways that we can bring the children's voice into parenting arrangements and the discussions around the parenting arrangements. Sometimes the parents might hire or the courts might appoint a child psychologist to give bring the children's voice into the situation. Sometimes in mediation, we can also listen to the children's voice directly.
Okay, Stephanie, and the last one is, to get a divorce, I need to go to court. Is that in fact true?
Well, on a technical level, yes. If you want to be legally unmarried, which means you're no longer spouses, the court will have to stamp your divorce application to cause you to be divorced. However, I call it a myth because when people ask if you have to go to court to get a divorce, usually what they're asking is whether they have to physically step foot into a courtroom and speak with a judge directly with respect to the resolution on all the points with respect to their divorce. So all of that, all of those negotiations can in fact be done outside of the courtroom. And as you know, Stacey, and as our viewers are likely becoming more familiar with, my entire practice is based on an out-of-court negotiation resolution. And so technically speaking, no, you don't have to go to court. But at the end of the day, you will submit your documents to the court and they will do what's called a desk divorce, which means just a paperwork divorce.
Okay, Stephanie, well, thank you so much once again for joining us. It's interesting every week to find out all the different aspects and different things that people can consider. So we appreciate your input, and we'll speak with you again next week.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Stacey.
Joining us today for Primetime Local News is Edmonton-born artist Taylor Ray. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So you've had a big start to your music career by seeing your Backseat Driver album reach #6 on the iTunes country chart and your single called Hellbent make it to #11. What's your reaction to seeing how far your work has come?
It's pretty crazy. I think with music, especially, you just really never know how something's going to be received because it is so subjective. And obviously, I'm biased, so I love whatever I put out. so, so seeing it be so well received is pretty amazing. It's definitely validating, which I think as an emerging artist is really nice to have a bit of.
How did your journey begin with your music career? Was this always your passion to become a country/pop artist?
Definitely. I mean, I started out singing with my dad. We had this big system set up in the basement. So he would just put on like Garth Brooks, Shania Twain, Martina McBride, and I would basically just try and sing it. And when I was about 14, he was just kind of like, Tay, you've got a pretty good voice if you want to try taking this to the next level. Obviously, you have to take the reins, but we will support you the whole way if you want to. And yeah, it was really just from there. I went to school for arts and entertainment management just to learn that business side of it, and then ended up just starting a band and trying to play as much as I could.
And we know with your past projects that you have been quite successful with them. Would you be able to expand on what awards you've exactly received?
Yeah, so well, I was nominated for BCCMA, BC Country Music Association Emerging Artist of the Year. And that was the year that I released my debut album. So that was pretty amazing. But right before I released the album, I actually won the 2018 Breakthrough Project. So basically, you get a big grant and get to use it how you need to develop your career. So I basically put that towards the album.
Would you be able to give us a bit more detail on your newest single, Are You Still Up, that was released on October 1st?
Yeah, Are You Still Up was a song that I really did not expect to have the opportunity to record. It was written by Carly Pierce, Phil Barton, and Adam Argyle. And those are some writers that I really have looked up to. So to have the opportunity to put my voice and my spin on a song like that was pretty amazing. And it definitely felt like a game-changing moment, I guess, when I went into the studio with Dan Swinimer and Tavish Crow. It was really cool because they're just so in it. They're so well versed in where country music is right now. And so getting that song and pairing it with those producers, I think really made for an epic collaboration.
Since your music career has started, how has support been around you for this?
Amazing. It's definitely, I've watched it grow with like the bigger shows and stuff, and people actually having the opportunity to fly in and come see them. And because we started out in the bars, which every now and then you still play, which are great. But I remember with my release show, we released the album, and then the next day we had this massive release show, and we had about 50 people from Alberta fly out to come see this show. And it was just this really amazing moment where all of these people who had been kind of there along the way in different spots, everybody was in the same room at the same time. And it was just, yeah, and the support was just endless. It's so cool.
And after having such a successful start to your music career and with all your past projects, are you hoping there's a message that your fans and listeners will get out of listening to this newest single?
I think with Are You Still Up, it's such a relatable feeling. I feel like at nighttime, if you feel not even just with relationships, with your life, with work, when things feel heavy, they always feel heavier at nighttime. And you start asking those questions, and then there's a line in the songs that says like, I know when the sun rises, I'll be okay. And that's such a fact. I think sometimes you just have to think, okay, wait it out until the sun comes up and then make a sound decision on what you want to do, because everything just seems brighter the next day.
Is there anything else you'd like to add for people to know about?
I think just keep an eye out for music to come. It's going to be, Are You Still Up is going to be going out to radio at the end of October. So when that happens, obviously there will be stuff all over my social media, and we can push those radio stations to play it.
Perfect. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining me today, Taylor Ray.
Thank you so much.
And now taking a final look at your 7-day forecast here on Thursday. I was saying tomorrow that we will be seeing a 14 degrees there with a little bit more sun, so hopefully it will feel a little bit warmer. Friday, starting off this weekend, we'll see 15 and go through that on the weekend with a mix of some sun and cloud, but it will be a little bit cooler with those -1s for our lows there as we head into the fall season. And starting off next week, we will be seeing single-digit temperatures now with a high of 8 on Monday and Tuesday, while on Wednesday we'll see a high of 10 with a little bit more cloudier skies.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News, and you can watch the second hour on CITL.